everybody.
Welcome to Kirsty and Bryony's Comfort Zone.
Where we listen to some dreams and we mess up the intro.
We never know who's going to do the next line. Every time. Every time.
Every goddamn time.
But today, we're not going to be going into our own brains. Our brains are closed for maintenance whilst we try and think about things. But we have a wonderful guest. Yay! Welcome, Boba.
Hello. Welcome to my brain, where I've last minute cleaned the cobwebs out of, and I've thrown everything into the closet and, pressed my body against the door as hard as I can to try to get it to close so that no one knows my closet is full of everything that I've hidden.
Yay!
You've prepared it for guests.
Exactly.
Terrible guests that we are. We're just going to go marching around, poking our little noses in everywhere, and trying to figure out what's going on.
We're going to be that guest that storms in and just opens the closet and it all tumbles out.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no.
That's a health hazard.
Gonna go around licking all the cups to see if they're clean.
Oh my gosh. I
Maybe
can't
eat
even
some of the
imagine
cups.
that. I could eat them.
Oh dear.
So, as a general opener question, how do you feel about dreams? Like, are you, because we know some people who just, they hate talking about dreams, or do you find them interesting, or are they just a bit weird, or what's your feels?
I like hearing about people's dreams for the most part. And I don't know, my dreams are very much like, I've got such a good imagination and such a, like, is it pictorial? Like a photograph kind of like imagination. Mm-hmm. So there's been a period of time where I've gone without dreaming for a while, but when I do dream, I'll dream like for what feels like the entire night. And a lot of times I'll have dreams, and if I've had one of those really long ones, I wake up and I'm just tired, like I've been actually doing the dream. And then depending on what kind of dream I've had, like I have really like ones that I'm really present in, or if I have scary ones, I have ones that I just wake up and I'm like actually for real terrified. So I don't know. I talk about my dreams sometimes, and it depends because I think recently I haven't been remembering them as much. So I've been trying to write them down more. But yeah, I don't mind talking about them. And I don't know if I think they mean anything outside of like, normal like anxiety kind of things. Yeah. But yeah, I like them.
Hell
They're
yeah.
like little movies that you don't have to pay for in your own head.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That are put there to tell us our darkest fears and terrify us.
Oh my gosh, for true.
Speaking of having like a really vivid imagination, do you find like, as like an artist, because I would say you are an artist, definitely. Have you ever had dreams that have like inspired you, like to, I don't know, like you wake up and you're like, oh damn, I need to draw that, or I need to do this, like this is really inspired an idea?
I don't know, because I think my dreams tend to have specific themes and to like follow a lot of the same sort of settings. And so I don't think there's anything that I've really been like inspired by. And it's more maybe my dreams are taking inspiration from the things that I like in real life instead. So it's like a backwards kind of thing, maybe.
So like, do you find that you have like, oh sorry, Brandy, you go.
Oh no, I was just going to say I've been sort of disappointed with my dreams this week because I started taking this new medication and I was looking up, side effects and stuff, and it was saying like, oh, you have such crazy dreams on it. Like I was so excited to embark on my next stage of dreaming, and I've not had any. I'm like, oh,
maybe you have them
I
already.
was gonna, like, maybe I'm already having maximum crazy dream.
Yeah, you'll feel like,
it's like,
you
whoa,
are.
let's tone this down now.
Just reel it in. Yeah, I kind of found with mine, like my meds, that I started dreaming again once I started taking them. But before I took them, I didn't have any dreams. So rather than just having a bunch of random ones, it actually just kickstarted the regular ones again, which was pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah. But
So
sorry.
we're in sync, but as in we like to talk at the same time.
Yeah.
No, you go.
No, you go.
I was going to say, so you've had a dream that you've brought to us today.
Mm-hmm.
All I know about this dream is that I think it involved a horse. Am I right in thinking it's that dream you're going to retell for us?
Yes. So I had this dream like a couple weeks ago. I thought, oh, okay, this is probably good, because I woke up from the dream, and at whatever time it was, I was like super not awake. And I'm like, oh, let me record this. You know I probably want to go on Kirsty and Bryony's podcast soon, so I should record this. So I did. And then I started listening to it the other day, and I was like, okay, yeah, that probably sounds good. And then I listened to it this morning, and I listened through, I think I was like talking for like 3 minutes. And I listened to it, and I was like, this is weird. And also maybe just kind of like, it was just not as cool as some of the other dreams I've had. But basically it was, I remember that I had a horse, and it was a talking horse, which I think you said Kirsty's had talking horses before too or something.
I've definitely had horse dreams.
Trot was a horse.
Yeah, Trot turned into a horse in one of my
Okay,
dreams.
amazing. My horse was not Trot, but it was like my horse, I guess. And I've done like horseback riding and horse camp and all of that stuff before. And so it was talking to me, and it was telling me that it was worried and that it was just anxious. And I was like, that's okay, don't worry about it. And so then I think like we went for a ride, and I was like, okay, let's just go as fast as we can, and then you won't be worried anymore. And it was like, okay, so we did that. And then, so I was like, okay, cool, where's the rest of this going? And then I started talking about this boyfriend that I had in high school, and I was like back in high school, and he was my boyfriend again or something. And then after I saw him, I went back to my house, and my mom had a cat that had kittens, and she's like, we're not keeping these kittens. So she left them outside, and then I was going around collecting all of the kittens. And then my sister was like, I have a cat too. And then she brought this kitten to me that was very obviously like a lynx, but like a baby one. And I'm like, where did you find this? And she goes, I found it outside. And I go, this is not one of ours, but now we're just going to have to keep it. And that was the entire dream. And when I listened back to it, I was like, what? Why did I think this was such like a good dream? Like, it's an okay one, but it's definitely not as cool as the other ones I've had.
Oh my gosh. Amazing. Well, there are
Still sounds like a pretty good adventure.
Yeah, it does. It does. And there's a bunch of things in there that are things that like we've dreamt about as well, like stuff that we've looked into before, like animals and baby animals specifically, like kittens. What else? School again.
Yeah.
And people that you knew from school. Like we've like, I feel like stuff like that just pops up so often in dreams, and I don't know why. It's super interesting. But yeah, Brandy, were you like peeling through your book while listening to
I am having a look through my book because I was curious. So I was trying to remember what we decided horse meant before. But I looked it up in my book, and it says the horse in a dream represents the energy at the dreamer's disposal. So for that, so just as a warning, Boba, we both have these books and we like to look them up. And sometimes we have moments of like, oh, okay, we get that. A lot of the time it's just like Freud would say, and we're like, no,
you're attracted to your mother.
I love horse.
I love horse. Yeah.
But I guess the energy, okay, so if we are going to follow the book, if the horse was like anxious. Maybe that was your brain saying, you can have an anxiety dream, but it's in your control if you want to. And you were just like, no, we're going to go for a little adventure. We're going to ride as fast as we can. And we're not going to do this. So maybe that was you taking control of your anxious horse.
My anxious horse.
Just having fun instead. One of my favorite parts of the horse section, though, is that there's a specific bit for a horse that can get through any door and batter down all obstacles.
Oh my gosh, how interesting.
How many times are people dreaming about just badass horses kicking doors down?
Yeah, oh my gosh.
For it to have its own section.
Yeah. Oh dear.
With the lynx, it says the main quality associated with the lynx is its keen eyesight. Thus, in a dream, it can often portray objectivity.
Interesting.
So is there something that you feel you have a good view of? Is that what it's trying to say? Like you've managed to get like a good objective opinion on or something? I don't know. Maybe kittens.
Maybe kittens.
Maybe
Just to
kittens.
clarify, like a lot of the time people are like, I don't believe in the meanings of dreams. These books are silly. And it's true. They are very silly. They don't know what the hell we're talking about. But one of the things we kind of like doing, we like looking at the meanings and sort of applying them to our own brains, if you know what I mean. So we sort of give it a meaning. So it's like a weird sort of therapy almost.
Yeah, I like that.
But yeah, like Bryony said, sometimes the meanings don't mean anything at all.
Such as now, when we get into the cat section.
Oh no.
To dream of cats is to link the feline, sensuous side in human beings, usually in women. So the other kittens were
Sexy.
sensual, maybe? This is when it loses us a bit, usually.
When it starts talking about sexy stuff.
The sexy cats.
The elegant but also the powerful, yet overly self-sufficient aspect of women may also be perceived as the cat. You're just too self-sufficient. Going out there, being an independent whammon, picking up your own kittens.
That's it.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
Strong, independent whammon. That's it.
It's very, it's a strange one. There's nothing about kittens in here.
That's kind of interesting because I feel like kittens would be like, that would be something I think people would dream about is kittens.
Yeah, we've had like sections on puppies before, right? I don't know would there be like a baby animal thing or something?
Oh my gosh, I have just found a section in this book that will anger the both of you.
Uh-oh.
So if you have a dream about rats, it says the rat signifies the diseased and devious part of the dreamer.
No.
It can also represent something repulsive.
What?
They may be experiencing disloyalty from a friend or colleague. The person who wrote this book has never met a rat.
No,
They hate rats.
Away. Throw it away. Put it in the bin.
That's it. I'm setting it on fire now. Don't you worry.
I've done a little Google and it says dreaming of kittens symbolizes pure living, sanctity, and innocence. It also means change, openness to learning, a fresh beginning in life, simplicity, gentleness, and curiosity. Now, in the dream, they've got like meanings of various dreams about kittens. In the dream, too, there was like some of the kittens that had been left outside had like passed away. This says kittens that have died are failure and disappointment or abandoned kittens, feelings of being left alone. Running after a kitten, chasing life goals and seeking opportunity. Interesting.
I guess could that be with you like going back home?
Yeah,
maybe?
that's what I was gonna say. I wonder if it's like a feeling of being.
You feel like you're our abandoned kitten.
No,
I'm outside.
In the rain.
I'm scratching to get back in. My little paws on the door. Let me back.
Let Boba back in.
This is interesting.
Super fast horse, and
I know
right
away.
Yeah.
See, so like this kind of stuff is, I don't know. I feel like I have that a lot in dreams where I find animals and then I end up taking care of them, or like just like coming across an animal and being like, okay, this animal is mine now. So that's like a common thing that I dream about. I also dream about like something that's very common in my dreams is a setting that I am familiar with, but somehow it is changed. So I've had dreams where like I'll be back at my old high school, except it's like in a swamp and like halfway submerged. Or I'll have a dream about a house that I used to live in, but it's maybe like merged with another house that I've lived in, or maybe it's like in a completely different place altogether. Or I have a lot of dreams that are like places that I know, but they're like desolate and like not like post-apocalyptic, but maybe like abandoned and everything like that too. So that's another thing that's like really common in my dreams.
Yeah, that's.
I tend to get the thing where I just assumed it's because I have a lazy imagination. But I'll have the thing where I'm like, I'm meant to be here, but it's just my parents' house. But it's not my parents' house. But that's like the one location that my brain's just like, it's there. But just pretend it's
I
a
see.
castle somewhere. Like there's only like 3 locations I can download. I've not got any more Dream DLC locations installed.
I tend to dream about like places being generally how they are in real life. If they're different, they're like really different. Like I remember once I dreamt about a childhood home that I lived in. And I think in the dream it almost glitched out. So it was like when you glitch out of a map in a video game and like everything becomes like invisible. It kind of happened like that. So you could see like the support beams, but you couldn't really see anything else. But other times I've dreamt about it, it has just been completely normal. So it's sort of one extreme or the other for me, which is really, really weird.
Going back to the animals, I often have like my anxiety dreams will often take it will be like I suddenly have an animal that I should have been looking after and I realized I've not been looking after them. Like I'll suddenly think like, oh my gosh, I've not fed the cat. Like, and I'm obviously like, I know I don't have a cat, but I suddenly remember that I just have this one and I've not been, taking proper care of them.
Yeah.
So I guess that's like, because I do care about animals so much. So I guess that is like why anxiety seems to like latch onto that for me.
I have the same. Like I often dream about rats and like I have cages and cages of rats and they're all getting out and they're all mixing and like the boys have gotten in with the girls. Oh really? Oh my god. Yeah, like the boys get in with the girls and they're all breeding and then wild ones have got in and I'm like, that's not my rat. Where did that come from? And they're just everywhere. And that is one of the ones that I always have. What animals would you say you dream about the most, Boba?
I think maybe like, I don't know. I don't dream about dogs a lot, but I do dream probably about like kittens, rodents and rats, maybe like hamsters and ferrets and things like that a lot. And then I guess sometimes horses. And then I had a nightmare last night, but that had a bear in it. So that was like a little bit different. So
I was just about to say, like, because obviously we don't really get bears over here. And I was like, oh, they get bears in America, but I'm guessing you don't get many in Florida.
No, I think
just
they're
walking around.
No, not around here. I think there might be some in like some of the more like woodsier areas or maybe like northern Florida or something. Maybe like black bears. I had my dream last night, which was I woke up and it was like 5 o'clock in the morning. And well, BST. And so that meant that it was like only midnight in Florida, which was also really weird to wake up at that time. And so I had this dream that I went to this building and Hat Films was there. They've been in my dreams a couple of times too. And a bunch of yogs have too. But so Hat Films was there and they're like, we're going to go hunting for like this video that we're doing a behind the scenes for. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then I like walked outside of the building. I think there was like other stuff that went on that I don't really remember. I walked outside the building and there was a bunch of people like running down the side of the hill. And then I saw a huge bear like running towards the front of the building that I had just come out of. So like the Hat Films boys were still in there and there was like a side exit and all these people were running down the hill, and I was like, oh my gosh, like run another direction because there's a bear coming. And then I was trying to call Hat Films to tell them about the bear, and then I looked in my hand, and instead of a cell phone, I had like, you know, the remote controls for LED lights. I had that instead, and I was like pressing the buttons, and I'm like, it's not working. No. So I had to just start yelling. But I woke up, and like, I haven't really been in any situations in real life where I've been, you know, really, really scared or really terrified or anything like that. But I have had a decent amount of nightmares where I wake up from them and I am the most terrified that I've ever been in my life, almost to the point where I like can't move. I have to take like a few minutes to process that it was a dream. And so I was just laying there for a little bit, like my heart rate was crazy. I was like paralyzed. I was so scared, even though I was like, I'm in my room, there's no bear. My body was like, and my brain was like, there was a bear, you know, there was danger. There was something to be afraid of. And then I was like, oh, I also really have to pee. So like once my heart calmed down, I like got up and I just was afraid. And I'm like, there's not a bear in the house, but my body was just in this mode of like, I know I'm supposed to be afraid of something. So I turned the light on, I peed real fast, and then I had to turn my back on my hallway to get back in my room. And I was like, oh my God, like, why am I afraid so much? And I got back in bed and I went back to sleep. But it just was like, it's so wild that your brain can be and your body can be in such a state of physical reaction from something that you've dreamed about. And I've had like a few really terrifying dreams that I've dreamed, and some of them like really horrible. And I wake up and it's just like my body and my brain are still existing in that environment, I guess.
It is so strange, like just how much dreams, but especially nightmares, can affect you like that. Like I have times where I do wake up in a proper, like, you know, the sort of movie cliche sitting up like, oh my gosh sort of thing, and you're just like, that's just like to have such a physical reaction. Like the strongest one I ever had was once because I am absolutely terrified of wasps, and once I was asleep and a wasp came in through the window. So I must have heard it in my sleep, then had a dream about there being a wasp. And I woke up across the room. I literally got out of bed and just run at the wall.
Oh my God.
Thankfully, I stopped before I got to the wall. And I woke up and I was just like, huh? I turned around and there was just this like little wasp just sort of buzzing around, just like, morning. I was like, oh, jeez.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
I must have been in that sort of between dreaming and awake where you're not like your body's not keeping you still, but your mind is still waking up, sort of thing. But
jeez, I'm quite lucky that I don't really have nightmares. I tend to just have dreams that are more, I don't know, like
the anxious ones.
Anxious, yeah, like more sort of just stress. Like I dream that I'm having arguments with people, and I'll wake up and be like angry that I've had this horrible argument with someone, and then I'm like, wait. I'm not in a mood with them. It was a dream. It's fine.
Do you guys have the
Sorry, you go.
Do you have the typical like teeth ones? Because I have those a lot too.
I've had wobbly teeth dreams, but I don't think I've ever actually had a dream where my tooth has fallen out. I think it's always just been like just the typical anxiety of like it's wobbling and I don't know if it's going to fall out.
Yeah, I've had wobbly teeth dreams as well.
Gosh, I don't know if it's because I had braces for like a few years, and I was always really worried about my teeth. And as a kid, I was terrified of pulling my teeth out like when it was time. So I just leave them until they fell out. But like, oh my gosh, I get the anxiety dreams where my teeth are wobbly, they're like falling out, they're like cracking in pieces, like I go to eat something and they come out, or like I'm pulling them out with my hands. Like, oh, I had one where I had to like go on this, I'm sorry this has turned into Boba has like the most terrifying, horrible dreams.
It's fine. It's happened before. People
literally like the last 4 episodes have been, we looked up what bodies of water mean in dreams, and that's all about anxiety. And every single one of my dreams since has been like, I was on a lake, I was in a river, I was in the sea.
Like, oh geez, Bryony's having anxiety.
Here we go again.
Have you had any lucid dreams before? Because I've had a couple of those.
No,
I've not really had proper lucid dreams. What were yours like?
So I have dreams sometimes where I realize that I'm dreaming, and usually the way that those go is like, if I'm having a dream that I'm kind of afraid in it, something makes me realize that it's not real, that it's a dream. And so I'll change what is happening. And I don't have like, not every time I have complete control. And usually it's just like, oh, okay, I know this is not real. So I know if I make this decision, it will influence me this way, instead of like being in the dream and just having the movie experience. So I'll be like, okay, this thing is happening. I don't want it to. If I do this, I will probably go down a different path instead, so I can do that. But I have had one where I like was in the dream and I had complete control. And this one was like so wild and so weird, because I was in the dream and I was like, oh, this is a dream and I can do whatever I want. So it was like, this is what my ultimate power trip was. I like imagined this like huge like body of water, but it was beautiful and it was like reflecting all of these galaxies in the sky and the water. And then I was like, oh, this needs more. It was like playing Minecraft. And so I like thought about this huge, beautiful like crystal tower, and it was like semi-translucent and like made of pink glass. I went to the top of the tower because I was like, oh, I can fly. So I just flew up there, and then I was just looking out at this like landscape of all of this stuff that I had made, and it was really weird. But I've had like I don't know how many of those I've had. That was the one that I really remember. But the other ones are usually like, oh, I'm in a dream, so if I do this, I'll probably have a better outcome than if I do something else.
Yeah. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was
a couple times
weird.
recently, like ever since we started doing this podcast, I think that has made me more aware of dreams in general. Because I had one recently where there was this monster inside this, I like ran into a log cabin and there was this like horrible man in there, and then I realized I was in a dream, and I was like, if I run over to the PlayStation controller and press the button, I can pause the dream and then I can get away from him. So I like ran over and I pressed it and I paused it, but it meant that I couldn't open the door, so I had to quickly unpause it, open the door, and then pause it again. And whilst I was doing that, he was just slowly turning around and looking at me, and I was just like,
my gosh.
So I sort of gave myself that freedom, but not enough to just be like, I'll change the setting and go somewhere nice. Just I'll pause it for a bit and run away.
Yeah, we've talked about like lucid dreams and stuff a little bit before. And the idea of training yourself to have lucid dreams is a really interesting one to me. Like if I wasn't massively lazy, I would try and do it. but it also, I wonder if it would be quite scary. Like if you somehow sort of did it wrong and it ended up being a nightmare, like there's a little bit, because it's like a sort of a journey into the unknown, really, anything dream related. There's that risk of just like, I don't know, it going a little bit wrong and then you have a bit of a terrifying experience. Kind of like a sleep paralysis kind of thing.
I get like something similar to sleep paralysis, but different. I think it's called, it's like repetitive waking or something. Okay. So I have like, I think it especially happens when I take naps, because I don't really like taking naps. And so if I lie down for a nap and I don't set an alarm, I will sometimes have this thing where I'm sleeping, and like nap sleep feels different to me because it almost doesn't feel like a full sleep. So I'll like have this dream that I wake up, and then I'll get up and I'll be doing all of these things that I need to do. Maybe I'll like start my stream and I'm running late, or maybe I'm like have another job in my dream that I need to be doing, and I'll wake up, do like everything for the day in that, and to like have this anxiety about like being late and all of this, and then I'll wake up again, but I'll still be in a dream. So it'll be like I've done everything in it. And then I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, that was just a dream. And it happens. When it happens, it will happen like 5 times or something until I finally wake up and I'm so tired and just like on edge because I've woken up 5 times before this and had like, oh my God, am I late for something? That is like really weird when it happens and not fun at all.
Yeah.
I hate that so much. Like when you wake up and you're like, oh, I have to actually do all of this stuff now. I thought I'd done it already.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I kind of get that when I've been like napping, or if I'm just about to wake up in the morning and I'm in quite a light sleep, I will dream that I am getting up and doing things, or I dream that I've checked my phone, I dream that I've replied to messages, and I wake up and I'm like, nope, I haven't done any of this stuff. But I've never had it to that extreme where it happens over and over and over again. And I bet that's so stressful.
Yeah, it's. I've looked it up before because I talked about it on stream, and I think Simon was like, "Oh, that sounds like this thing," because it's like similar to sleep paralysis. Because in sleep paralysis, that would be that you wake up but you can't move. This is like you're moving in your head, I guess.
Yeah.
But you cannot wake up, like, because I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, I need to wake up," and then when I say that to myself, I just wake up in the dream again. And that is so stressful and awful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I keep getting this thing. It's not really relevant to dreams, but it popped into my mind. Every time I'm going down the stairs at the office, and you know there's like, because obviously the office is on the 4th floor, and you have just like this sort of winding staircase going down. When I get halfway, the thought pops into my head of, what if the staircase never ended and I was just trapped in here forever?
I know.
If I go up, it doesn't go back up to the 4th, and if I go down, it doesn't go down to the ground floor, and I'm just in this stairway, trapped. I don't know why it pops into my head, but that feels like the sort of thing you'd be like, you'd suddenly realize you're in a dream because you're just walking down the stairs forever.
I feel like that's something that happens a lot in dreams too.
Oh yeah, where you're like not sure what's going on. I guess this is called false awakening. So when you like wake up, but you're actually not.
Okay.
So this says, similar to lucid dreaming and sleep paralysis, false awakenings are considered one of the hybrid or overlap states between sleep and wakefulness. So many people who experience false awakenings also have lucid dreams, where you realize you're dreaming and can change the course of the dream. I don't want it.
When you like describe it the way you do, I think I have had stuff like that before. I didn't realize it was actually a thing.
Oh my gosh. They feel so weird because you'll be like, okay, this doesn't seem quite right. Maybe I need to try to wake up. And part of it too is sometimes when this happens to me, I'll be like, okay, I need to wake up. And I'll start physically waking up, and my eyes will be so heavy and I'll be trying to open them, and then I'll just slip back to sleeping again and just get stuck in the cycle like a Groundhog Day again. Oh my gosh, it's so weird.
That happens to me a lot.
Yeah.
I find it just so difficult to wake up a lot of the time, and I will just slip back into dreams. And I think that's part of the reason that I'm always quite groggy in the morning, because I am just stuck in a sort of a loop of dreams and falling back to sleep and trying to get up. And yeah, I'm glad I'm not the only one.
I think I used to get the like fake waking up thing. I'd only ever get it the once, but it would usually be back when I was working at the vet, when I was getting up for early shifts in winter, because every time you woke up, you were like, it's either 3 a.m. and I can go back to sleep, or it's 6 o'clock and I have to be up, but it's still dark and I can't tell the difference between the two. And I think I used to get that a lot because I was so aware of like, when I wake up, I need to know the time immediately to know whether I'm panicking or whether I'm fine. So I think that would give me those sorts of dreams of just like, oh my gosh, I'm late. Oh no, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I can sleep for 2 more hours.
I have a lot of the so from the time I was 17 until I was 25, I worked at a Barnes and Noble, and I worked in the like Starbucks portion of it. So I worked in the cafe and did like all of the coffee and did like food prep and did all of this. And then I also worked in like the rest of the store too. But I spent like majority of it doing like coffee stuff for years and years and years, like through, very important times of my life. I have so many dreams about being back at that job. And they're usually like, I'll be working and I'll be like having a good time, and then it will be closing. And I used to close the cafe part by myself. And in my dream, someone will come in, and either it will be one person and they'll be like, I want everything that you have right now. And I'll have to make every single thing and give them every single thing and then wash every single dish that I've already washed. Or it's like 1,000 people come in and I'm having to serve 1,000 people. Those are really funny too.
It sounds like plate up.
Yes, oh my gosh.
You think you're finishing the day and then 12 more people walk in. You're like, no.
God,
It is funny how a lot of people seem to have like a specific time, I guess, maybe of formative years that dreams will call back on a lot. Like for Kirsty, a lot of yours, you go back to school a lot, don't you?
This
And
is what I was going to say. Yeah.
For me, it's Holby City. I have so many dreams about being back working on Holby City again. That seems to be my like, okay, let's go back style dream.
Yeah, it's like your brain just sort of picks a time period that it just likes to sort of slip back into. Like for me, like when I say that I have a lot of school dreams, it's always A-level and maybe GCSE time. It's never university and it's never anything before that. And it's always to do with art, English or history, which were my A-level subjects. So yeah, my brain rarely sort of deviates.
UK folk, the GCSEs you take at 16 and the A-levels you take at 18.
Yeah, so it's like
between
16 to
those
18.
sorts of years.
And like with work, I mean, to be fair, with work, it tends to stick with either working in a supermarket or working at the animal rescue. But a lot of the time, the supermarket one tends to come up.
I wonder if it has to do with like the anxious periods, like if you were anxious in school or you were anxious at work, but also probably the places that you spent so much time in that your brain kind of has the blueprints for everything, like Bryony's saying about her parents' house. Like you have all of that information there that your brain is like, oh, I know exactly where everything is in this, so it's not as difficult to conjure. Isn't it also a thing too that every person that you see in your dream is someone that you have run into at some point, whether they were a stranger or not, because your brain cannot make up a face that does not exist.
I have heard that before. Yeah, I don't know how true it is. But I mean, I could believe that, honestly. Like the amount of times
how many people have like had a dream about someone and it's just a face that they've never really registered before because they like, I don't know, see them in the queue for the bus or something, but don't really take them in.
Yeah.
And then the next time they see them in the queue for the bus, they're like, oh my gosh, it's the woman of my dreams.
Yeah.
There you are.
Amazing. Yeah, I'll do a little Google.
I've also, I took like years and years and years of French, and then I took a little bit of German and Latin and Arabic too. And so especially when, I took 3 years of French in high school. And then I took even more when I went to university, and that's what I was going to major in. And especially in university, I was like multilingual dreaming too, because I guess I had kind of reached that point of like knowing the language. So that was interesting too, of like dreaming in French, which still happens sometimes, but not as often because I'm not like actively speaking it to anybody, but.
That's really cool. I never even thought about like something like that. Like we did briefly ask Rythian about it. Yeah, that's what I was. Yeah,
but I think his answer was that he doesn't remember.
yeah, I think he kind of said that he just sort of dreams, and the language that it happens in doesn't really occur.
I wonder because I would ask Xylus too if you get Xylus on, because I know Xylus says that now he speaks English more than he does any other language. So I wonder if he mostly dreams in it too. When when I was doing French, I was dreaming in a lot of French too. And then I've also had like, just speaking on variations, I've had dreams in black and white too.
We were talking about that recently. Apparently, people who grew up with like black and white telly often will dream in black and white because that's how they, like, that's like the media they were used to, sort of thing.
Yeah. I think my
for you,
family
that's-
watched some of them. I think I grew up watching some like black and white television stuff. So maybe that is part of it too. Do you ever have dreams where you're somebody else and you're not you?
I have had that a couple times. It's like the exception. I think usually I am me.
Yeah,
but I have
me too.
had there was that one recently that I had. I was my friend Mike and I was being chased by Garfield Sexy Thick through a
Oh my
lake.
gosh, okay.
I don't know why I was that particular friend.
Yeah, I'm generally always me in my dreams. I think there have been times when I have been someone else, but I don't remember them. I just sort of get the feeling that I've had that kind of dream.
One thing we get curious about is, do you ever have the classic streamer dream where you're doing something and you suddenly realize that you're live and you're like, oh my gosh, everyone's seeing this. Everyone heard that.
Yep, I have those plenty of times. And it's usually like the typical, like you would do at school where I'm like naked or something, you know.
On the loo. Yeah.
Yep.
Like, oh no, I'm on the toilet and I'm live. Oh, help.
Yep.
Just like,
I
I knew jokes.
Yeah.
I had one once where my Twitch account got hacked and they started streaming like dodgy stuff from my account, and I was just like yelling at my mods like, please try and stop the stream if you can, but they couldn't do it. They couldn't do anything about it.
I think I had one like that too, and they were like just streaming porn on my channel, and I was like,
exactly
oh my god.
Yeah. I can't believe you had the same dream. But basically, yeah, they hacked my account and started streaming porn on my channel. And I was just panicking. It's like, oh no, what am I going to do? But speaking of like variations of dreams, though, I had a dream the other week that was just mainly anime.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That was interesting. It's never really happened before, but that was pretty cool. I don't think I've ever dreamed in black and white.
I don't think I have.
Yeah, I've had some of those. I the ones where I've been someone else too. Sometimes they're like not even people that I know, and it will be I've like put myself into this almost like fiction kind of thing where I think I've had a dream that I've been back in time and I've been like a cave person and there's dinosaurs and I'm not me. And I think some of those also happen in third person to where I'm like watching it. And I know that I am that person, but I'm not first person with them.
Yeah.
That's cool, because we were talking about perspectives that we dream from as well. So that's another sort of thing to touch on. But I think I mostly dream in the third person.
Oh wow!
I think I'm mostly first person,
and
I say that because I have a lot. I have a lot of dreams where I don't know whether it's because of like my hair or the duvet or something, but I have a lot of angry dreams where I'm being tickled by something.
Oh,
I
I
wake up
see.
really
Gotta be your hair.
So it has
you
to
know,
be that I'm in first person for the.
Do you know where the repulsion from being tickled comes from?
No.
So the reason that people most of the time hate being tickled or are ticklish is because back in our, apparently from what I heard, back in our caveman days, being tickled meant that something was probably crawling on you and that something could potentially be dangerous or poisonous or venomous. And so that kind of like activates that in your brain where you're like, oh my God, something is on me that's not supposed to be, and this is danger.
That makes sense. It's like Lewis was telling me the other day that the reason that someone else being sick will make you feel sick is from the days where everyone would have been having like communal food. So the likelihood was if one person got ill from something, it was your body being like, well, I better get rid of this too, sort of thing. I can't remember why he was telling me this. But yeah, that is interesting. Like, it probably is my hair because I tend to wear it down and it gets everywhere. But yeah, I always wake up really grumpy if I've been tickled in a dream. I'm just like, get off me.
Have you ever had a dream that lines up with real life? Like something happens in the dream and then you wake up because of something that's happened IRL. Like for instance, the tickling reminded me of this because when I was a kid, I had a dream that I was in like a cave in A Bug's Life and I was being interrogated by Hopper, like the big evil grasshopper.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't tell him what he wanted to know. So he came over to me and he was like, well, that's it. And then he started tickling me and I woke up and my mum was tickling me to wake me up.
Oh, yeah, I think that's
so,
happened a few times.
Yeah, it's kind of like my brain knew what was happening in real life, but the dream like leads up to that particular moment happening. And another one was I was around Bryony's the other week. And
she woke
Alex
up and I was tickling her.
Yeah, I woke up and Bryony was tickling. No, Alex wanted to use the exercise machine in the spare bedroom. So I was like, oh, is it okay if I use that in the morning? I was like, yeah, sure. So I set an alarm and I got out of the bedroom and I was like, I'm still tired. So I went downstairs and went to sleep on the sofa. And then Brian and Alex went out to take Mochi for a walk. And when they got back, Alex rang the doorbell. And in my dream, there were some robots talking to each other. And eventually one of them held up like almost like a detonation device, like a little stick with a button on the end of it. And just as they pressed it, the doorbell went. And I was like, how does my brain know that this is going to happen? How does it line up so perfectly? And it happens quite a lot.
The time in dreams is so weird, isn't it? Like, there's times when I've fallen asleep on the sofa and I've had like a dream and I've woken up and it's like 5 minutes has gone past or something. And I'm like, how?
Yeah.
It feels like I've been asleep for like an hour or something. It's so... It's like, what is that film where they keep on visiting planets and all of the times are different? So sometimes they'll be there for half an hour and sometimes it's like is it Interstellar?
It's Interstellar,
Yes,
which is my favorite film.
Bam,
Yeah, that's like my favorite part too, where they go to that planet where the time change or time disparity or something.
Yeah, that's just sometimes how dreams feel, where you're like, I have no idea how much time has actually passed, but it's like it will mold itself to fit into these real world things.
Yes, exactly.
But it's so strange.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Like some dreams can last just like a few seconds. So it is like that time disparity. So maybe these things, when they do line up, are just happening at a normal rate and your brain's like, right, this is happening in the real outside world. Let's fire off a quick 5-second dream to line up with it. And it's just so bizarre. Like there's so many things we just don't know about dreams. Like why does this happen? It's weird.
Yeah. I went back to look at the animal section again, and it turns out there is a section on what it means if an animal is talking to you. And it says, it is always important to pay attention to this aspect of animal life in dreams, since we need to be in touch with that part of ourselves. So maybe the horse was trying to get you to address some anxiety you have, and you have to face your horse.
My horse needs to be a bit more clear on which anxiety that is. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of things that I'm going to need to face. This horse.
Poor little horse.
The anxiety horse.
Do you feel that we've helped with any of your dream at all? Have we shone any light on it?
I think it's just been nice to like talk about dreams and hear about other people's common dreams and perspectives too. And I think, I think there is something to be said about the meaning of dreams, but I don't necessarily think that, it's like palm reading or like tarot cards or anything. But more so, it's just like your subconscious exists when, your subconscious exists. Profound statement, I know. But when you are asleep, like your subconscious is working to also like maybe make you in touch with things, or, maybe you're just on this autopilot or something. So I do think dreams have an importance in that sense. And it's nice to talk about too and see the other things that people dream about because it kind of seems, like you see people's personalities in certain things too. Like Bryony telling me, that she's dreamed she was someone else getting chased by sexy Garfield Thick. Like, you can joke and say, oh, that says a lot about you. But it kind of does, because like, I'll analyze you, but like maybe you were worried about your friend, or you really care about your friend. And so you were in their position in a sense where they needed to be protected. And so, you taking the wheel for that is a way for you to have, control of helping them. And the fact that it's, a Twitch emote or something, that's just something that you see pretty often, that your brain was like, sure, let's put that in there. But yeah, it's really nice to discuss all of this stuff, and then also like talk about the things that we've, mutually learned through research or reading and stuff. So it was really nice. I really liked it.
Hell yeah.
I think that is the thing of like, because dreams are so subjective and so personal, I think even if you are just taking the time to think about yourself and think about what's going on in your head, and maybe some of it will line up with things, but just taking that time is probably quite therapeutic and good.
Definitely.
Just to think, how am I feeling, and what is my mind trying to tell me? Yeah, I think it can be good.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of the things that I've sort of found doing this podcast. Like, so many times I'll be like, oh, I've had this weird dream. It didn't really mean anything. And then I'll tell it to Bryony, and Bryony will be like, well, it could be this. It could be that you're worried about like so-and-so. It could be that you're, feeling self-conscious, or you're worried about this upcoming event. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. I am.
Yeah.
I'm terrified. So yeah, it is a really good thing. It is kind of a healthy thing to talk about. And it's just, I don't know, it's just nice. It's nice to see it from other people's perspectives too.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. It was really nice.
Thank you so much for coming
for joining. Where can the good people find you? And the bad ones, I'm afraid.
And the bad ones.
I am on Twitch streaming and talking about weird shit all of the time. My dreams and my real life talks are pretty much similar. I'm on Twitch /BOBA. I'm on Twitter, Boba_witch, and other places, on the street, in your nightmares, in your dreams.
Riding on a really fast horse.
In my pink glass tower over my expansive galactic lake.
And also, everyone be sure to check out Feels on Mills. Boba's, podcast. I forgot the word podcast for a second.
Oh, yeah. I've got a
pod-
suggestion for you, too.
Oh,
You should do an analysis on this film that I just rewatched again recently, which is about dreams. It's Shark Boy and Lava Girl. It might actually be interesting because
that's a good idea.
it is wacky, but the whole thing is the kid is like dreaming and controlling dreams. And it is awful and does not. Watching it as an adult is just like, okay, I guess.
That's perfect.
gosh,
All right,
that'd be
movie
good,
analysis.
though.
Write that down. Write that down.
Because there are so many like dream cliches in movies. Maybe we should. That's a new section we can add in.
Perfect.
There's
Thank you,
quite
Boba.
a few dream movies and stuff. Maybe Inception. Is Inception a dream movie? Who knows?
It's
What
the
did they
dream
take
movie,
from?
I think.
What they take from real life? Of dream meanings and everything.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows? Wow.
Well, thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Thank you, Boba, for joining us.
Yes, thank you
you,
so
Kirsty.
much.
You
Just for being there.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
being a friend.
Being a friend.
Until next time, everyone. Bye-bye for now. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.